Everyone, it is 7 o'clock, so we will go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Tuesday, September 3rd, North College Hill City Council meeting. Appreciate everyone coming out. We will start, as we always do, by standing, having our prayer for North College Hill City Council, and then Pledge of Allegiance. God our Father, we are all your servants. We trust in your mercy and love. We trust also in your guidance. Direct the meetings of this council of North College Hill to make good decisions for all the people who live in our city. Give all the members of this council wisdom and insight to know what is best for our city. Help us to be fair and just in all our decisions. Bless us all to do the very best we can. With your help and guidance, we pray this in your name. Amen. Call this meeting to order. Right over there. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our meeting. I got a packed agenda tonight. But before we get into that, I do want to welcome our new council member, Brielle Gaston. She will have an opportunity here shortly to speak, but it's good to have her here. Thank you very much for joining City Council. With that, we will go to our roll call. Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Ms. Orb.
Here.
Ms. Gatson.
Here.
Ms. Dukestein.
Present.
Ms. Alexander.
Here.
Mr. Wilson.
Present.
Mr. Davis.
Here.
Ms. Underwood.
Here.
Thank you. All right, you have tonight's agenda.
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb.
I forgot what I was supposed to say. I've been gone so long. I'd like to make a motion. We accept the agenda as presented.
Mr. President,
I have Ms. Alexander.
I'd like to second that.
Motion by Ms. Zorb, second by Ms. Alexander to accept tonight's agenda as presented. Any discussion? Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Ms. Orb.
Yes.
Ms. Gatson.
Yes.
Ms. Dukestein.
Yes.
Ms. Alexander.
Yes.
Mr. Wilson.
Yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes.
Ms. Underwood.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Thank you. All right, we have meeting minutes from regular council meeting on 8/5, from 2 special meetings on 8/12, and from 3 special meetings on 8/19. I do want to make note that on the 8/19 minutes, I do have Miss Gaston's name spelled wrong. I have it G-A-T-S-O-N. It is G-A-S-T-O-N. And because I copied and pasted the next 2, it's on all 3.
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood.
I would like to move that we accept the minutes from August the 5th, 2024, the minutes from August the 12th, 2024 at 7:30, the minutes from August the 12th, 2024 at 7:40, the minutes from August 19th, 2024 at 6:30, the minutes from August 19th, 2024 at 6:40, and the minutes from August 19th, 2024 at 6:50.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukestein?
I'd like to second that motion.
Motion from Ms. Underwood with a second by Ms. Dukestein to accept meeting minutes from August 5th, from August 12th at 7:30, August 12th at 7:40, August 19th at 6:30, August 19th at 6:40, and August 19th at 6:50. Any discussion?
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb?
I would just like to get ahead of this. I will be abstaining because I was not present at any of these meetings.
Okay. Any other discussion? Mr. Hedger, when you're ready, please call the roll.
Ms. Zorb,
Abstain?
Ms. Gaston,
Yes.
Ms. Dukestein,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Underwood.
Yes.
Motion passed 5-2 abstentions. Did I say that wrong?
You have one abstention.
1.
6 with one abstention.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next item on the agenda, we do have Interim Chief Cheney here this evening with an award presentation, so I will turn it over to Mr. Craig Cheney.
Good evening, everybody. So on August 8th, we did our National Night Out in coordinates with the schools, Back to School Bash. It was a huge success. Couldn't have thanked our residents and the school any more than what I already have. So we plan on doing it again next year. One of the things I wanted to do when we did our part is kind of do some stuff for our kids. So I went to Preferred Cuts. I actually know Mr. Brian Smith. We grew up in the same neighborhood, went to high school together. I knew he worked there. I reached out to him and the owner, Mr. Mays, and asked if they would do free haircuts for our kids. Without hesitation, they both said yes. And from my understanding from Mr. Mays, they did well over 20 haircuts for our kids for free. So I would like to just bring both gentlemen up to recognize them here at our council meeting, give them a community service award and a plaque for their business. You guys, if you want to say something, you can. If you don't,
Yeah, don't be shy.
We like to thank the community for giving us the opportunity to do this. We try to do what we can within the community to keep it striving forward. Hopefully, we'll be looking forward to do it again next year, inside, hopefully. It's hot out there. So, but thank you a lot. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
1914 West Galbraith Road, across from the old Scally's, next to the the Tom's drive-through, right there. Yep. All right, thanks.
thank you guys. Appreciate your help. That's all I have. I just wanted to recognize those gentlemen for saying yes to us without any question and just giving back to us. So I appreciate it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Gentlemen, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is communication. Mr. Hedger, do we have any communications this evening?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a quick update on the scanning project, digitizing council records. We have received one quote from Iron Mountain. I am waiting on 2 others. I'm working with Mr. Torrey on getting the 2 other quotes, and hopefully we'll have those within the week to send out to council. Once we have those 3 quotes, I would like council to decide on how they would like to move forward on getting those digitized. I will note that digitizing the records, even though they will index and scan them and make them available, it will still take a significant amount of man work of just organizing the records into boxes that they can scan and then index for us. So I will be asking for volunteers eventually.
that all, sir?
That's it.
Thank you. All right, we'll move to council committees, starting with City Community Development and Recreation.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Mr. President. We met on the August 12th at 7, correct? Let me look at my minutes here. I apologize, sir. I was doing a little something else. What's these minutes?
At 7,
What'd you say?
August 12th at 7 p.m.
Yes.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. I was still trying to pull my minutes up that you sent to me.
I can go through some stuff
If you could,
like.
please. I appreciate it.
We met August 12th at 7. We talked about Party in the Park, and it's still in progress. Ms. Arias is looking into the budget for that. We also had an update for a fireworks show next year, July 3rd, 2025. All the logistics are still being worked out as far as the location. We're waiting on an update from Mr. Huffman regarding trash cans. Mr. Davis has suggested possibly downgrading the number of trash cans and possibly using other funds. Mr. Wilson also suggested going back to 1-hour committee meetings. And also update, Food Truck Friday is back, and it is every Friday. Nope.
Not every Friday.
It's not
every other Friday.
Okay, every other Friday,
So
pardon me.
I apologize. Every first and third Friday of each month.
First and third Friday
That's-
of each month.
That's correct.
And what time was that? Was that like
And
4
that'll be from 4 to 9 p.m.
4 to 9?
And that will be at the 1500 location, Galbraith Road. That's our city center.
Yes. And Mr. Davis had also suggested possibly coordinating with the high school for their football games and possibly having food trucks there in coordination with us. And and the meeting ended at 7:22 p.m. Did you have anything else to add?
No, and I appreciate that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Next up is Budget and Finance.
At our last budget and finance meeting, we got started a little bit late at 7:50 in lieu of a special meeting. However, we did receive the financial update for June and July. I don't know if you all remember, but June was not quite closed out when we met in July. So we got caught up for June and July monthly report. And then we were able to successfully file our 2025 tax budget. We're now working on the Hinkle. We should have an update on that at the budget and finance meeting. We talked about our part-time fire department MOU, which will be continued conversations, CDBG projects. We talked about our city building updates and splash pad. We're closing out on the Dunson Memorial site. We agreed to do both the site and the location in the park, and I believe those things will be purchased, if not this week. Well, they will be purchased this week. And we had old and new business and closed out very late. It was like 9:40.
Thank you, Ms. Dukestein. Next is Rules and Public Policy.
Thank you, Mr. President. Unfortunately, Rules and Public Policy was unable to meet because the doors were locked and none of the council members who were present that day had a key at that time. So there was nothing that we could do. However, I will say that Mr. Torrey figured out what was going on and made an extra effort to get all of us keys, and that included Ms. Dukestein, Ms. Alexander, Mr. Wilson, Mr. Davis, and myself. So now we have keys, but So that's why we didn't meet.
Thank you. Next is public safety.
Thank you, Mr. President. We had a very lively and spirited discussion about speed humps. We noticed that the city of Cincinnati actually has placed speed humps right in front of stop signs downtown. So we had been told previously that we weren't allowed to do that, but clearly we are. So I solicited information from people about where in North College Hill, just some really problem areas where people fly through stop signs. And I did receive quite a few emails, and so I would like to discuss that at our next public safety meeting. I did receive several emails. I received an email from Chief Cheney as well as Mr. Huffman, and they indicated that they would like some input on that, but I think, so we'll talk about that at the next meeting. We also received a report from the fire department, Chief Plackey, with regard to what's going on at the fire department. I didn't think to bring that, so I can't find it right this moment, I'm sorry. I didn't hear anything from the police department, and Chief Cheney was unable to come. Didn't receive anything from Public Works, and Mr. Hoffman was unable to come as well. So, and that was it.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President,
Ms. Alexander.
I think we forgot to say when our next meetings were.
That is true.
Our next meeting is September 9th at 7 p.m.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukestein.
Budget and Finance is Monday, September 9th at 7:30.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukestein, sorry. Ms. Underwood.
Rules and Public Policy will be September 9th at 6 p.m., and Public Safety will be September 9th at 6:30 p.m.
Thank you for the catch there, Ms. Alexander. All right, that brings us to the administrative reports, starting with the mayor. Good evening, Madam Mayor. Floor is yours.
Excuse me, Mr. President.
Thank you.
I'm
Good
sorry, hold
evening.
on. Ms. Orb?
Ad hocs?
Oh, yes, I skipped ad hocs. You're correct. Having a good night. All right, does anyone have any ad hoc reports? I apologize, Madam Mayor.
Sorry. Mr. President, I would like
Ms.
to
Orb.
report from the Tree Commission. So I don't know if anyone recalls, but last year we had pawpaws. This year we have even more pawpaws. We have an increased harvest. And our one member even made jelly from them. Apparently it's good. I don't know. I'm sure people like it.
It's an acquired taste.
Yes. But anyhow, I just wanted to point out that the pawpaws are in the Veterans Park at the corner of Betts and Sundale. So if anyone would like to go get your own pawpaws and make your own jelly or jam, you are welcome to harvest any pawpaws that you would like.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other ad hoc reports this evening? All right, hearing none, we can now move on to the administrative reports. Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have just a little bit, maybe not a lot, but I'll start where Ms. Zorb finished. Ms. Javette brought me some pawpaws, and it's an acquired taste. I will say that. I did include my entire family. I said if I have to try it, so do you. I don't think anyone enjoyed them. It's just a different taste. I won't say that. Maybe my oldest daughter, she'll try anything once. So for all of you, I would just, step on out there and try it. It's like mango and something else, right? I couldn't get past the little seeds or whatever that wasn't inside. But We had the dedication of Stapleton Park. It was really nice. The entire family came out. It was nice to see, other kids were in the neighborhood playing. Just standing there, we had a couple more ideas of what could possibly go in that park because of the length of it. So we look forward to seeing what else we can add in there, but the dedication was nice. The CIC meeting, which is scheduled, I believe, for the 19th, will most likely have to be moved to the 26th. So if you're planning to come to that, it'll probably be moved to the 26th because of conflicts. I would like to congratulate the gentlemen and thank them for doing the haircuts. I know that is huge. That's how they make their living, and to give those away free, there's no doubt they'll get a blessing in that. They already blessed someone, so the turnaround will come right back to them. So, and I'm sure those little guys appreciate that because you never know. A lot of times it's hard to get in and get a haircut, and especially for parents who have multiple kids, uniforms, or I don't know where they go to school, but we appreciate them coming out, and we appreciate the school district and the police department partnering with them. So I didn't make the event. I believe I was out of town, but I'm sure it was nice. Right. I'm sure it was nice. And Planning Commission for tomorrow is canceled. I think they're not going to meet until next week. And then we have on September 14th, the 513 relief bus will be here. That's a Saturday. This particular time, they're focusing on health and wellness. If you didn't come out to the car show, you missed it. It was really nice. It wasn't as hot yesterday as it was the year before, but the cars are beautiful, and the work that they put into it is really nice. Have two more things. As you know, we've had a time, and we've gone time without a city administrator, but I would like to introduce to you our interim city administrator, Miss Alicia Chamberlain. No, not yet. She's excited. And we're excited to have her. She's been here. She's jumped in, meeting with staff, getting acclimated with everything that's going on. She's here to serve. So if you have any questions, you can direct those to her, towards her. Some of you have already met her with some issues or some things that you've had, but it's been a pleasure. She's been here 2.5 weeks. So we're excited about that. And finally, I was looking, I'm not sure. Okay, I was waiting. As you all know, that September is National Suicide Month. And so we always like to support and honor those who participate in helping. That mental illness it's a huge problem in our community and in the nation. So we have Ms. Angel Curry here. Are you Angel? She couldn't make it. Okay. Well, would you like to speak on? Sure. Okay, if you could, the podium there. And again, I'm sorry, I was expecting her. If you could tell us your name so we can make sure we have it in our records.
Sure. My name is Emmeline Thompson. Thank you for letting me come here this evening. I am with NAMI of Southwest Ohio. NAMI stands for the National Alliance on Mental Illness. We provide free services for Hamilton, Claremont, Warren, and Clinton County. We do free support groups. We do free classes. We also do a lot of advocacy. We go into middle schools, high schools, businesses to really talk about mental health. To spread awareness, but also try to reduce the stigma that surrounds mental health issues. So as mentioned, September is Suicide Awareness Prevention Month. So we really appreciate the city of North College Hill signing this proclamation to show that you stand by this idea of reducing stigma and showing support for those who struggle with mental health illness.
Didn't say we had a proclamation.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's okay. and I would like to read the proclamation, and then we'll present it to NAMI. We just appreciate, I'm speaking for everybody, I don't want to do that, but the hard work that you do, I know it's not easy. And mental health illness, it affects everyone at some point, a family member or someone close to them or a friend, so thank you. And with that, Suicide Prevention Month Proclamation. Be it proclaimed, whereas mental health is part of overall health and 1 in 5 adults experience a mental health problem in any given year. And whereas approximately 1/2 of chronic mental illness begins at the age of 14 and 3/4 by age 24, and long delays, sometimes decades, often occur between the time symptoms first appear and when individuals get help. And whereas suicide is the 11th leading cause of death in the United States and the 2nd leading cause among young adults, and 90% of people who die by suicide had shown symptoms of a mental health condition, according to interviews with family, friends, and medical professionals. And whereas early identification and treatment can make a difference in successful management of mental illness and recovery, and it is important to maintain mental health and learn the symptoms of mental illness in order to get help when it is needed. And whereas every citizen and community can make a difference in helping end the silence and stigma that far too long has surrounded mental illness and discouraged people from getting help. Public education and civic activities can encourage mental health and help improve the lives of individuals and families affected by mental illness. Whereas we shine a light on suicide prevention and mental illness and fight stigma, provide support, educate the public, and place our full support behind those who work in the mental health field, namely our local partner, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, NAMI, Southwest Ohio. Now therefore, I, Tracy Nichols, Mayor of the City of North College Hill, do hereby proclaim September 2024 as Suicide Prevention Month in the City of North College Hill.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson. Madam Mayor, that concludes your report, correct?
That's all I have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. With that, then, we will turn it over to Ms. Chamberlain, the City Administrator.
Hello, everybody. I'm very excited to be here, as you saw a moment ago. I actually love Pawpaws. I go to Athens every couple years for their Pawpaw Festival and drink Pawpaw beer. With that being said, I like to ingratiate myself over here in Ohio because I come from that other side of the river. But I do promise you, since youth, I have spent quite a bit of time up here. I had several friends that come from College Hill, North College Hill, Mount Healthy area, starting as far back as high school. I've worked in Cincinnati as well as worked in Northern Kentucky. I'm coming to you, I'm bringing 18 years of experience, have a master's degree in public administration. I've served as an officer for the Northern Kentucky City and County Managers Association. I've already spoke with TJ White from Center for Local Government, and I'll probably be rejoining CAMA, which is the Cincinnati Managers Association, which I've been a part of before. I have made mistakes, I've had successes, and I've learned a lot from both. I'm bringing it to the table. I'm supposed to be spending time with you through the end of the year, and I'm hoping the mayor has asked me to deliver on several items, kind of rebuilding personnel culture, looking at our finances, and kind of just being a resource wherever I'm needed. So I look forward to getting to speak with all of you. I have met with every department head at this point, and I'm thrilled and pleased. We've got a lot of people who care about this community, and I can see why. It's a community that cares about itself. So if nothing else, I think we're all motivated to carry out this vision that the mayor and council has laid out for us.
Thank you, Ms. Chamberlain. Welcome to North College Hill. All right, next up is the Law Director's report. As with every time we have a Tuesday meeting due to a holiday, he is unable to be here on Tuesdays, so Mr. Dieters is not here. And then we have the Finance Director's report, and she is not here this evening either. So we will move to call of members, starting with Ms. Zorb.
Thank you, Mr. President. So there's a lot of welcomes. So welcome to Ms. Brielle Gaston. I look forward to working with you and building a better community for us. And the same with Ms. Chamberlain. Welcome. It's going to be exciting times. It's awesome. I'd also like to say I was able to attend the car show, and Miss Alexander and Miss Gaston and I were the judges for the council trophy, and we picked the most incredible Mercedes convertible that I've ever seen. So anyhow, it was a good time. I hear that we had like over 180 cars, biggest turnout to date. So looking forward to keeping that growing and growing. That's all I have. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Ms. Zorb. Ms. Gaston, you're up.
Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here. I grew up in North College Hill. My grandparents have lived in North College Hill for about 50 years. My grandmother owns a nail salon on Savannah Avenue, and my uncle works at the Hamilton Avenue Kroger. So we've been here, and we're committed to the city. We're excited. I did attend the car show yesterday. Man, it was fun. There were a couple cars that we were like, But the Mercedes, it was awesome. It had a tea set in it. Oh, it was nice. So we really enjoyed that. Again, I'm just excited to be here and excited for the work that we're going to do. And that's all.
Thank you. Ms. Dukestein.
I'd like to welcome Miss Alicia Chamberlain. We're excited to have you here, and I'd also like to welcome Miss Gaston. It was a pleasure to meet you tonight. We've been anticipating your joining us. On a heavier note, we attended the services for Doug Eikens, and he was honored well. I would like to thank our fire department because they did an excellent job at just helping the family put the service together, and it was very sad, but I was happy to see many of you there also. But it was a very, very honorable service. So I just wanted to make sure that we mentioned and acknowledged that and thank the fire department for their part in that. And then Javette did bring, I went to her and got some pawpaws, and my family did enjoy the pawpaw flavor. It's very different and very, very pungent. So I encourage everyone to try them. The rest of them went bad, so we put them in our compost. Woohoo! And she also gave me some burgundy okra, which it's different than regular okra. I loved it. It was really, really good. So maybe if you go by, you'll get some other treats from her as well. And then I'd like to thank the police department and the school board for working together for the back to school bash that they had. It had a specific name, but I don't remember. So I've heard that it was really nice. Like people in the community, because my kids have friends who attended, they said it was awesome. And then just back to school in general has been going very smooth. The kids are looking like they're safely walking up and down Hamilton Avenue. I watch them as they commute. I'm usually leaving to go get my own children, and they all look like they're just doing better with, getting down the street and safely. And then I heard that the Stapleton Park dedication was super nice. I missed that. And the car show was super nice. And I heard that was really, really nice. I missed that also. But I just wanted to acknowledge it because I'm excited when we have great positive things going on in our city. That is it.
Thank you. Ms. Alexander.
I would like to once again welcome Ms. Chamberlain. I look forward to personally, talking to you, meeting with you. And also Ms. Gaston, I got a chance to judge in the car show with her and meet her wonderful family, and I look forward to working with you. Also, I'd like to thank Preferred Cuts again. The Back to School Bash was phenomenal. My children have went to North College Hill schools. I don't think I've been to a back to school we had that much community involvement and participation. And yes, it was hot. And so, yes, but it was wonderful. Also, once again, I did attend Doug Eikens' funeral services. I got a chance to talk to some of his family and share my memories and my children's memories of Mr. Ikens. And I think it blessed me, you know, as well as it blessed them, it blessed me too, because they shared with me. They were happy to hear the stories that I told about their loved ones. Also, I've seen lots of crossing guards at the school. That was a subject, and I took note of it. Crossing guards, I'm not sure who all they were. They probably were school volunteers, but they were there on Hamilton Avenue, on Galbraith, on Grace, so they're there. Let's see, and car show was wonderful. I would like to thank all the sponsors and the volunteers, because without the community and the sponsors and the volunteers, it wouldn't have went as well. And all of the participants, beautiful cars, awesome. And I believe. Oh, and thanks to NAMI as well for their involvement in our community for suicide awareness and prevention. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Wilson.
I'd like to say, you know, welcome, Ms. Chamberlain, Ms. Gaskin. Did I say that correctly? Gaskin, all right. Hey, appreciate you guys willing to give up your opportunity, you know, the time to work for North College Hill. We really do appreciate it. Just like to say, stay safe. Please remember that your trash cans is where your trash belong, not on our sidewalks. That's all.
Thank you. Mr. Davis.
All right, and once again, also, I'd like to say thank y'all and welcome to Miss Gaston, to Miss Chamberlain. Thank y'all for y'all service. Thank y'all for y'all help. Also, once again, my eternal appreciation to Sergeant Doug Ikens and his family. Once again, you will be remembered, sir. And also a quick note, I'd also, because I can speak personally. September 2022, I just happened to be watching this meeting. A meeting of North College Hill City Council came on after live streaming a football game, and I watched y'all give a proclamation to NAMI for National Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, and y'all wouldn't have known. Y'all didn't know me. Y'all didn't know I was in a dark place at the time. But knowing like, hey, wait a minute. I live in a city that cares, a city that would notice these people are struggling, that are noticing these people that needs help. That's a city I want to be a part in. That's a city I want to I want to participate in. So that's one of those. I meant to remember that, like, hey, September 22 is actually the reason why I decided to try to get more active in North College Hill. Thank you.
Thank you. And last but not least, Ms. Underwood.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would like to say welcome to Ms. Gaston. I haven't had an opportunity to meet you yet, but I'll introduce myself. I'd also like to say welcome to Ms. Chamberlain. Again, haven't had an opportunity to meet you yet, but I'll make sure I take care of that and say hello. I'm sorry I missed the car show, and I missed the Stapleton Park dedication, but I had a jury trial, and that just kind of takes over your entire life. So, but I've heard nothing but good things about it, and I would like to say thank you to everyone who was a part of that. I would like to say a special thank you to the two barbers who provided haircuts for free to students going back to school. I know how big of a deal that is. I have two sons, and that is a huge deal. So thank you very much for that. And I would also like to just express my condolences to the family of Doug Ikens. He will be missed. And I also would like to say thank you to Mary DeWald for her service. We didn't always agree. We didn't always see eye to eye. But serving on City Council for North College Hill is, what do I like to call it? It is a
labor of love.
Labor of love. And she has been doing that for quite some time. It's not easy to disagree and, debate and whatever it is. And even, the good days are good, the bad days are bad. But I would just like to say to Ms. DeWall, thank you for your service. And that is all that I have.
Thank you, Ms. Underwood. All right, that brings us to remarks from the audience. Mr. Hedger, do you have anyone signed in?
Yes, Mr. President. We have Kathy Curitan.
Good evening, Kathy Curitan, 6718 Devonwood Drive. I do have quite a few questions, so I'm going to pose the question, direct it to the appropriate parties, and then I'm going to take my seat. You can start the timer, Mr. Graver. All right, so the first question, I would like to direct them to our mayor, and I would also like to say, Ms. Chamberlain, welcome. We're glad to have you. However, Mayor, I'm curious. I've heard that she's only interim. We've gone 6 months, 8 months or so. I don't know. It's been a long time since we've had a city manager, so why are we choosing to go the interim route? In fact, why is Mr. Cheney, our interim police chief, still considered interim? I'm wondering, why are we choosing to make leaders of our city interim roles? We would like to have someone come to stick and to stay. Madam Mayor, I'd also like to ask you for an update on the investigations for the police sergeant, I think he's a lieutenant, and the police chief, Chief Strand and Petroselli. If we can have that tonight. I believe those reports and those investigations have been concluded. I would also like to ask you, Madam Mayor, if you can help us understand, and I recognize that our law director for the past 6 meetings or so, he's been absent almost 50%. I realize that the first of the month, as Mr. Graver indicated, but he's been absent a lot. I really want to find out what's going on. More so, what does he do for the city? Please. And then the next question I have is for, let's see, please. It's for Ms. Dukes-Dean. Can you give us an update? I know there was conversations at the last meeting regarding the allocation of the CDBG funding. I'm wondering, have we determined specifically how those funds will be allocated, and if not, what is the deadline for that? I would also like to get a question answered by you, Ms. Dukes-Dean, regarding the city center building and the funding. Are we going to restore it? Are we going to tear it down? I would also like to find out from you, Ms. Dukes-Dean, we have roof leakages there, here, and over at the police. What are we going to do about that? That all falls under budget and finance because we need the funds to take care of that. I would also like to ask you, Ms. Dukes-Dean, if you can give a more definitive date on the Hinkle report. When will that report, we are past the deadline, we get an extension, but when will the report be done? If we want our books to look well, we have to do our reports timely. And granted, I know she's new, but I'm just looking for more, she being our finance director, a more definitive date.
20 seconds.
Yes, sir. And then I would also like to make mention of the building accessibility. That was quite embarrassing for council members to show up and not have access. I ask that you all fix that. And then lastly, I want to make a point of reference. That's not a question, but a point of reference. There was limited security at the car show. In fact, the entry barrier right in front of Kremers, there was, anyone could have, God forbid, but anyone could have done something. And I pray to God that never happens. One single citizen was blocking the entrance. So I'm asking if there's any other community events that we put safety and security as the #1 key, because that was probably the biggest event the city has had in quite a few years. If you can answer those questions, thank you. Sorry, I went over.
Thank you, Ms. Curitan. Madam Mayor, first questions were directed at you in regards to interim city administrator, interim police chief, and then I think it was generally just interim roles in the city.
Well, one of the questions, interim, okay. Well, there's a lot of reasons why you have interim. When you have someone with the expertise that Ms. Chamberlain has, and some of the things that we've dealt with and that we've had to deal with, I found that it was better that we use her expertise than to have someone else who may not be as gifted in those areas. well, I don't know if we all know, but we did go through an interview process. That particular process did not work out the way that we wanted it to work out, so we had to move on. And moving on was with Ms. Chamberlain, which I can let her touch base on that as well. You asked why is Mr. Cheney still interim? Because that's the process where we are right now. You can't open another door in a lot of cases until one is shut. So you have to close one door before another door is open. In this particular case, you asked about the. I would like to ask you, who told you that the reports were concluded? No, I didn't. We talked about. I said they told me that they should be completed at the end. Mr. Cheney was talking about one particular report.
No, ma'am. That's incorrect. Ms. Curitan, please.
So the reports were one report. As a matter of fact, we had a conversation about the one report today. There were some issues with it. I'm trying to, for myself, in all of this gain, I understand that it's been a long process. It's been a long process for myself as well. I'm sure just as I would like to close the door on it, I'm sure council and the individuals involved. This is not something that we, as I stated before, are going to take lightly, rush through. We have to make sure that any and everyone that needed to be interviewed, that it was done and that the reports are given correctly, properly, with the right information. Unfortunately, it's taken longer than anyone, myself, had anticipated. I had no idea that it would take this long to interview multiple people. I guess I'm looking for a more definitive of if what you're looking for is around those same things that I mentioned. Because if you could allow her to repeat her question again about the reports.
Okay.
I believe it was at our last council meeting that we had council at large back in July. And at that time, you said, and it's on record, that you were having, they called you the Thursday before we met on the Monday, and you were going to call them back because they had finished the report. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that's for Strand and Petroselli. I don't know if that was Strand or Petroselli, but at that time, you said they were complete.
So they had completed the interview process. Completing an interview process and turning in a report are two different things. But so there was a investigation for Strand and there was an investigation for Petroselli. The one with Petroselli was not conducted. I didn't have anything to do with that. That was with Cheney. Cheney did that one. The one who was under me was for Strand. You asked about the law director being absent when there are two, when he has a meeting, when we don't have a meeting on Monday, he is a law director with another city, and he goes to their meeting on Tuesday. I know there were a lot of, I can't recall July. Was he here in July?
No, he was on vacation.
He was on vacation in July. And so that was our only one meeting for July, and he missed that one.
Regular meeting, yes.
Yes, and I do believe he was at another one of your meetings, your special meeting? I wasn't at that meeting.
Mr. President.
Ms. Dukestein?
He attended our special meeting. I'm sorry. We had multiple budget and finance meetings in the month of July. We also had special meetings. He attended one of our budget and finance meetings extra, specifically about the part-time MOU.
I think the question was asked, what does he do? He is the law director for, not just for the mayor, but for council as well. He was responsible for writing legislation and for giving advice as needed. And Ms. Chamberlain.
You had asked the question about why would you have an interim city manager or city administrator role, which I understand that you have been without for several months now. But please understand, having worked with many cities and many counties and having witnessed all kinds of situations that create a need for change or reassessment in a city, you are in a fairly unique position here in North College Hill. It is not that any one thing that has occurred here is unique. The fact that it has all occurred within a year-long period is beyond unique. In order to handle the level of upheaval that you all have experienced, you require someone with a very broad scope of skills. I have a unique experience with working at the state where we did supplemental work for local governments. So whenever there was a gap in local government management, we would step into these roles under contracts. Because of this and how many years I spent doing this, I've gained experience that you normally see, like everybody has a couple skill sets where they kind of shine, and that's what you bring in because that's what you need at the time in the city. I happen to have quite a few. That's not normal. To hire somebody with the years of experience and the scope of experience I have, it's going to cost you more money than what North College Hill would generally have. By bringing in interim, I do not have benefits. I'm donating some time. We'll leave it at that. I am a dedicated public servant, and I also have spoke to Ms. Dukestein and the mayor for off and on several months, calling and just kind of asking. And at first, I thought I would be coming in to just maybe assist with one or two things. I believe that the situation's progressed, and that's where I was asked if I would be interested in this role. Truly, I'm doing this because I care about cities, and I saw that this one, you all need some love and attention and some resources. And also, nobody coming in this role at this time is going to be well-liked by the end. I just to put it out there. So, unfortunately, I'm here to carry out the mayor's vision. I'm here to be a resource to council, and I'm here to advocate for your staff and employees. But tying that all together means at some point, nobody's going to be 100% happy, and not everybody is okay with 80%. It's better to let me come in, do some heavy lifting for you. If you're upset with me, I'm gone at a certain point, so long as I'm delivering good end results and product. You can bring in your next person. You have a clean slate, and I can still be a resource you can call on. I will never disappear on North College Hill. I will be there for several years to come for you to call and ask questions. But it's just a unique time for the city. And I'm just asking that everybody give me the opportunity to help you all get through this and navigate it quickly, because you're in some really, really rocky waters right now.
Thank you.
Mr. President, may I ask a follow-up question?
Ms. Ord?
Ms. Chamberlain, are you under contract? And if you are, can I get a copy of that contract?
I am under contract, and I believe that you're going to need to ask the mayor. I don't feel right fulfilling my own contract request, so please ask the mayor, but I have no problem with anyone seeing it.
All right.
Could you please forward that, Madam Mayor? It is a public record.
All right, thank you. Then the line of questioning went to Ms. Dukestein. First one was around CDBG funding determination.
Okay, so the CDBG funding, we did isolate 2 specific projects, but talking to Ms. Chamberlain, our initial project at which we wanted the funds to go to is not actually ruled out. So she has some relationships with the CDBG funding organization, and she's reaching out to make sure that we can dedicate those funds to where we had initially wanted them to go, because we were under the impression that we could not do that. So she's getting those parameters. And I remember you asking about the deadline. So the deadline potentially has passed. but we have until the fall to dedicate those funds. So we are taking the time to dig, make sure that we are applying the funds. We wanted them to go to the splash pad. And then we were scrambling to try to find another project that was suitable for the funds. And then when she came on, she was able to leverage her connections to see whether or not we would be able to use them with the original intent. So we haven't slowed up. We've continued to meet. We've continued to progress. We just needed to take a pause. It is the right thing to appropriate those funds and get those funds in the best direction for the city. So we should have something more concrete by the Budget and Finance meeting. You also asked about the building, the municipal building there, the senior building there, and the police department. I spoke with Chief Cheney, and he did talk to me about the roof. The roof in their leak and the cost, the estimated cost, is beneath what needs to come before council. There is a set amount that we have to review. The repair for the police roof is beneath that amount, so we probably will not discuss that in Budget and Finance unless Chief Cheney wants to. Janetta has already, we will always take care of all of our departments. You know, we are not a city where we abandon our children. The police department is, they belong to us. You know, we love them. We want to make sure that all of their needs are met. Their need will be met. Their roof will be paid for. The other question was about the roof and the repairs or the restoration of the building, the municipal building down here. We are in the process of still making sure that we have our finances in order to make sure that we will be in a position for lending to restore that building. Council unanimously agreed at one of the July Budget and Finance meetings and one of our extra meetings that we would restore that building. Right now, based on all of the quotes and estimates and environmental studies and all of the collaborative research that we have, says that it will be more economically feasible to go forward with restoring that building as opposed to tearing it down. We would still have to abate the asbestos if we tear the building down. So keep that in mind. So we want to make sure that we are making the best financial decisions to keep our city afloat. And we actually, this space is not large enough for the way that we're using it currently. So we are planning to restore that building. This building here, in terms of the roof leak here, we have gotten several estimates, and it will also be fixed. I hope that answers your question in terms of all of the building repairs. Police department will be fixed. This building will be fixed. That building we are planning to restore. I'm sorry, can you read her question so I make sure that I didn't?
So I didn't get it all wrote down, but there was one around funding for the city center restoration, and then there was a specific question around roof leaks in 3 buildings. That's
Okay.
what I got.
So,
Go ahead.
The question specifically is the timetable. Restoration here, the leak, we can see it. What is the timetable? We've talked about it. Now, when are we going to act on it? What is the
so right now, we're getting estimates on this building here to be able to just fulfill getting it repaired. The last that I heard with the police department, per my own talking to Chief Cheney, was redirecting him to Janetta to give him a line item to get his roof repaired. It's under the amount to see before council. I would imagine that they would get that done within the next month. However long it takes them to isolate who's going to do it and put the money towards that. Now, the restoration for the city municipal building, that's going to take a little bit longer because it's hinged upon appropriating, or not appropriating, but making sure that we're healthy enough financially to apply for lending. We have with Ms. Chamberlain on our team now. She has spoken to like so many grants and things that we may possibly be able to apply for to help with that building's restoration. So we want to leverage as many sources of those kinds of things, free money, to restore that building as possible, and then we should be able to bear the rest of the cost. I can tell you, looking at the finances and the estimates, if we collaborated and created an average of what we feel like it's going to cost, it's very feasible for us to do that. What you may not have heard if you did not attend is that our debt to ratio is dropping significantly because we're finishing up payments on some of the other really big things that we had. And so Jeanette is also giving a report of that for us, and that will be delivered in our next budget and finance meeting. So we have a little bit more room to start working on maybe a larger debt to being able to secure funds for that building. So timing, we're hoping that we have some, the ball is still rolling. I mean, if you're talking about knocking down walls, I don't know. Hopefully we will have something more concrete by the end of the year.
Okay, next question was in regards to the date of the Hinkle report.
Oh, I'm sorry. I did remember that. Okay, so 2025 tax was the one where we received the extension. Hinkle, we just need to have it filed before the fall so that we can have it for the audit. And so that should actually be filed by the 12th of September. The taxes have already been filed. The Hinkle is very, very close. There were some questions that our finance department had to answer in order to get the Hinkle. There were some more questions that came up after we had completed the 2025 tax budget, which we did the legislation for and turned in August 30th.
Okay.
Is that it?
I believe that is, the next was building access issue from the special, or the committee meetings. I know you had touched on it, Ms. Underwood, but I believe everyone on council now has a key except for maybe Ms. Gaston. She has a key too, so everyone has a key now. Does that answer your question? Yes, sir. Okay. And then the last one you said was not a question in just regards to security at the car show.
So that would fall under
You said it was not a question. You called it a point of.
do as you may.
Was there a question in it?
It was more so, and excuse me for sitting down and not taking a mic, it was more so asking for council to take the lead role, as this was under recreation, which I think falls under Mr. Wilson. If we can maybe offer additional security for the city, the residents, even the vehicles there was well over, I mean, I was present, there were lots of people, lots of expensive vehicles. And we want to make sure we do everything we can, that if there's an event hosted by the city, we keep everyone safe. There were children, there were dogs, there were elderly, just keep everyone safe. Not with just one citizen sitting at a barrier who was not really attentive the entire time.
Ms. Underwood, I will ask that that becomes a topic at public safety.
Mr. President.
Go ahead, Ms. Underwood.
So I'm happy to add that to the committee. I just would ask if Ms. Curitan can provide me some more information later. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Hedger, is there anyone else signed up?
No, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you. That will bring us to legislation, and whenever you're ready, Mr. Hedger.
Third reading ordinance number 4, 2024, an ordinance to amend and establish salaries and staffing levels for the city employees pursuant to the requirements of section 3.06 of the City of North College Hill Charter and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President.
Ms. Underwood?
I move that we
Adopt.
adopt, sorry, ordinance 4-2024.
Mr. President,
Ms. Zorb.
I'll second that motion.
Motion by Ms. Underwood, second by Ms. Zorb to adopt ordinance number 4, 2024. Any discussion?
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukestein.
I'd just like to point out, I just want to make sure that the copy, one of the changes that everyone was it was a hot topic, was the drawing, just, I'm not going to say it out loud, but just the drawing attention to the fire chief and the deputy chief and their statuses, and then everything else is on par, because we made some changes as this document evolved, and I just want to make sure you guys are seeing them and we all have the more recent copy.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President?
Ms. Zorb.
And I apologize because I did miss the last finance meeting. So my question is, under the Public Works, it just says to permanent. I feel like there's words missing from that description.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukestein.
any person except for the supervisor, as we learned, actually falls underneath the bargaining agreement. So I'm pretty sure that's why that change was there, per our law director and their bargaining agreement.
I'm not sure that answered my question. So should there be more words around permanent? Permanent employees, permanent, I mean, like everything else has, like deputy court clerk, deputy chief. It just says permanent, permanent.
Public Works, it's under Public Works. There's two permanent, part-time people under Public Works.
So are they the seasonal workers that are referenced underneath it? Is it two permanent seasonal workers? It's two permanent something.
So there are two permanent Public Works persons that are part-time. That's what that says. Because they're under Public Works, there are two of them, and they're permanent, and they're part-time.
Okay, I'm still not getting
So it can't
answers.
be seasonal if they're permanent.
I'm sorry?
I was just talking to myself, there can't be, sorry, Mr. President.
Ms. Alexander.
Just to reiterate, if they're permanent, they can't be seasonal.
Correct.
Okay.
All right. Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Ms. Orm,
Yes.
Ms. Gaston,
Yes.
Ms. Dukestein,
Abstain.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Underwood.
Yes.
Motion passes 6-0, one abstention.
All right, thank you. Next legislation, Mr. Hedger.
Second reading, resolution number 10, 2024, a resolution to authorize the mayor to execute a collective bargaining agreement between the city of North College Hill and the part-time North College Hill Firefighters Bargaining Unit, AFSCME, Ohio Council 8, Local 2372.
Thank you.
Mr.
Next.
President,
Ms. Dukestein.
I think we verified via email that that one was supposed to come off.
We can't just take legislation off via email.
Well, you asked me, and I said,
You told me that the part-time MOU was not going on there, and that is not the part-time MOU.
you're all right. Thank you. Sorry.
All right, Mr. Hedger, next item.
Second reading, resolution number 11, 2024, resolution to certify assessments to the county auditor for placement on the tax duplicate.
Thank you. Next item.
Second reading, resolution number 12, 2024, resolution to decertify assessments to the county auditor for placement on the tax duplicate.
Thank you. Next item.
First reading resolution number 14, 2024, resolution to certify assessments to the county auditor for placement on the tax duplicate.
Thank you. And the last item.
First reading resolution number 15, 2024, a resolution to proceed with expressing the city council's intent to renovate the city building located at 1500 Galbraith Road.
All right.
I'm sorry, Mr. President.
Ms. Zorb?
So, again, I feel like I've missed a year. I really don't understand this piece of legislation whatsoever. I feel like either this is, I feel like there's two extremes. Either this is a meaningless document or it's giving someone the authority to have a blank check. So I need a whole lot more information, a whole lot more background on this piece of legislation. Does anyone have anything in writing that they could send to me and forward to me to let me understand, help me understand what the premise of this is and what the purpose of this is?
Mr. President.
Madam Mayor?
Ms. Zorb, were you referring to 15?
I am.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukestein?
we can continue talking about that in Budget and Finance.
Okay, thank you. Next on the agenda is further remarks from the audience as it pertains to any of these items of legislation that were discussed this evening. Seeing none, we'll move on to old business. Anyone have any old business to discuss tonight? Hearing none, I'll move to new business. First thing, Mr. Dieters did call me. He would like for us to schedule a special meeting to have an executive session to discuss some employment things. So if we would like to try and come up with a date for a special meeting for executive session.
Mr. President,
Ms. Dukestein?
I would be willing to offer, like we did last time, for a special meeting for the, some of my Budget and Finance, as being mine is an hour. And that we can maybe give some time there. And most everyone's here. I don't know if you will be a part of Budget and Finance, but it's a day where everyone else is already out for committees. And then Mr. Davis is not a part of Budget and Finance, but if he would be willing to attend, it just makes it easier because most of us will be here in some way, form, or fashion next Monday. And my meeting is an hour, so I'll be willing to yield some of that time.
So you're saying that we could have a special meeting at 7:30 and then you would do Budget and Finance after?
If everyone else is okay with that.
Mr. President,
Mr. Hedger?
I don't believe a special meeting is required to have an executive session. She could have an executive session within her own meeting and
That's
invite
true.
council members.
That is true. Thank you.
I'd be willing to do that if you guys are wanting to all be willing, if you're willing to all attend.
I understand.
So everyone's on Budget and Finance right now except for Mr. Davis and Ms. Gaston, correct? So you would need to invite them and invite me as well.
Okay. That's the blurry part with me extending time. Is it okay to just do an invite to you all and then go into executive session and invite you into the executive session? Is that what I need to do?
So I think if you invite us now, and maybe Mr. Hedger can help with that, invite us now to be participants, and then you can invite us into the executive session.
Okay.
Just make a motion to invite them to your meeting. I don't
that
believe it
day or
actually
today?
creates, I
Mr.
don't even think you need
President,
to make a motion.
May I interject very quickly?
Go ahead.
Because this is discussing personnel matters, I would suggest not having that come out of Budget and Finance. I think you'd want a special meeting to document just with that title for executive session. That's advice, not like a necessity, but I would encourage you to take that route.
That makes sense. That is what Mr. Dieter said to do, so, okay.
So then I will yield some of my time,
So
7:30.
we'll do a 7:30 special meeting. Get 3 members of council to sign that special meeting document. And then that way everybody's already invited to it because it'll be a special meeting for council. All right, so that'll be 7:30. And that date is the 9th.
Mr. Graver, I'm sorry, Mr. President,
Ms. Orb?
sorry. I will officially decline my need to have that posted at my door.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. President,
Ms. Alexander?
I'll officially decline as well.
Mr. President,
Mr. Davis?
I'll also decline my need to have that posted.
Is there anyone that needs to have it posted on their door? Okay, you will get that via email. All right, is there any other new business?
Mr. President,
Madam Mayor?
I just had a question. So Budget and Finance is yielding time. What time is your meeting starting? Because since it has to be a special meeting, are you still having your meeting? So we need to determine what time your meeting will start. It can start late, but it just can't start early. So
Budget and Finance will start at 7:50.
8 o'clock?
Yeah, how about 8 o'clock?
Okay, 8 o'clock.
Thank you.
I don't know what the topic is, so I don't know how to yield the time.
All right, any other new business?
Mr. President,
Ms. Underwood?
I move that we adjourn.
Mr. President,
Ms. Alexander?
I second that.
Motion for Ms. Underwood to adjourn, second by Ms. Alexander. Any discussion? Mr. Hedger, please call the roll.
Ms. Orb,
Yes.
Ms. Gaston,
Yes.
Ms. Stukestein,
Yes.
Ms. Alexander,
Yes.
Mr. Wilson,
Yes.
Mr. Davis,
Yes.
Ms. Underwood.
Yes.
Motion passed 7-0.
Thank you. We are adjourned.